Hello everybody and welcome back to the Jaxon Show. I'm your host Jaxon Solomon, and today's episode is all about a wrap-up of our super wild card weekend in the NFL. Plus, we got some NBA predictions for all the basketball fans listening. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Alright, so the NFL had their wild card weekend this weekend. We had a couple of games. Started on Saturday with the Chargers and the Texans. Texans won that one. Ravens versus the Steelers. Ravens won that one. Bills took on the Broncos. Bills won that one. Eagles took on the Packers. Eagles won that one. Commanders took on the Bucks. The Commanders won, and the Monday night game was between the Rams and the Vikings, and the Rams won. So I got a couple of questions lined up here, and of course you can always leave your answer to these questions down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's get into the first of these questions. What was the most impressive wild card performance? For me, I'm going to have to say the Bills. This was a tight game going into the second half, right? 10-7. The Broncos defense was really impressive throughout the majority of the game. And then the Bills offense kind of showed up, and we were like, hey, we exist. So they stepped up and they did their thing. And so the Bills offense, they were the most impressive wild card performance. Now, there were other teams like the Texans that impressed me. The Rams defense definitely impressed me, but I think the most impressive would have to go to the Bills because of the way they came out in the second half, the way they looked in that second half. Without a doubt, give me the Buffalo Bills. So, the most disappointing wild card performance, the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to have to shout out the only Vikings fan I know, Ryan McGillis. Shout out my boy McGilly. Yeah, but Minnesota, man, there's all this controversy and all this talk about whether Sam Darnold should get a new contract this year, and I think the answer is no. And I can confidently say the answer is no because just the last 2 weeks haven't been great. You score 9 points in back-to-back weeks, 2 playoff atmospheres. And even if the Vikings do pay him, I think that he won't be very good next year. I think that, he will be good for about 3 weeks, and that's when J.J. McCarthy will start in his position. Just rough to be a guy like Sam Darnold. So, that was my most disappointing, the Minnesota Vikings. And then your defense, eventually this defense played, football, but geez, this defense for the Vikings, it looked really rough these last 2 weeks. And we were talking about Vikings defense might be one of the best in the league. But everything went down as soon as I started dancing and celebrating in the locker room with Sam Darnold. So, and my biggest concern out of this wild card weekend, and there are a lot of teams that I could have given this biggest concern to. I could have given this to the Chargers. They didn't show much of a run game on Saturday. I could have given this to the Steelers, whereas, they didn't perform well in that game. And I will say this, every year we talk about every year we talk about Mike Tomlin getting fired. Can we stop with the Mike Tomlin getting fired conversations? Because if the plug was going to be pulled, it would have already been done. He would not be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers if he was going to get fired after making the playoffs. The Steelers are happy with making the playoffs. They're happy with losing in the first round. And that is the definition of successful right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, they could get a little greedy and say, hey, Mike, you don't go win a Super Bowl for us, we're going to threaten to take your job away. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. Mike Tomlin doesn't deserve to be fired. But continuing on, I could have given this to the Chargers. I couldn't have given this to the Steelers. I was thinking about giving it to the Bucks. Heck, I was thinking about giving it to the Vikings again. But I'll give it to the Eagles offense. 22 points against the Packers defense. I will say this, not a very good secondary. I didn't see Saquon do very much. I didn't see A.J. Brown have an outstanding game. Philadelphia, where you at? Like, this was a rough game for the Eagles offensively, but I think the defense really kept them in it. I don't have any concerns about this defense, but the offense is really the differential between this team can beat the Lions and this team can compete with the Lions. Right? Saquon just barely had over 100 yards. Devontae Smith, the leading receiver, with 55 yards on 4 targets. A.J. Brown had 1 catch for 10 yards, right? So, Eagles offense, man, they didn't impress for me, and, that's my biggest concern heading into a week where you're going to play a really good pass rush from the Rams, and if you win that, you're going to have to play the Lions, who score points and have a really good defense, or the Commanders, who, the Commanders who also score points. Defense might not be as good as, Philadelphia, but, offense can score points, if you're, Washington. So, those are my Super Wildcard Weekend review. I'll tell you this, we'll get into some NBA picks just in a moment, coming up next on the Jaxon Show. So tonight, the NBA is going to take off. I got 3 games that I'm going to predict. We're going to start with the 7 o'clock East Coast game. The New York Knicks taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. I expect this to be a tight game, close game, but give me the New York Knicks. Knicks coming off a loss to the Detroit Pistons. Love the Pistons. Love what they're doing this year. I can't believe I was talking about, becoming a fan of a different NBA franchise. I can never. But yeah, Knicks are supposed to bounce back. I got them bouncing back. Even though Philadelphia has their big 3, they're doing really well playing together. I think the Knicks win this one on the road in Philadelphia. Now, Rockets, Nuggets. This is a West Coast game, and so is the next game I got on this slate. I got the Rockets versus the Nuggets. I'm going to take the Nuggets. I don't know what Houston's about, but I know what Denver's about. Denver is about triple-doubles, rebounds, assists, and points. They're about scoring the basketball. They play good basketball, so give me the Nuggets. And then the last game. Could have went Lakers Heat for this one. I got the Warriors versus the T-Wolves. And I'm going to take the Wolves. Wolves are on a streak. They're hot. And I don't think anybody can knock them off their pedestal, even the Warriors. Shout out Jackson Walker. He's a Warriors fan. Hope you guys do not win tonight. So my prediction is correct. But I just hope Curry has a good game, because he's been hitting this slump lately, and it seems like he misses Klay Thompson. So, those are my NBA predictions, but I'm going to get one more because I won't be recording tomorrow. This is my last NBA prediction, Thunder versus Cavs tomorrow. Give me the Thunder to win tomorrow night against the Cavs. Those are my NBA predictions. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of The Jaxon Show. I appreciate you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And as always, tune in this Friday for another episode of The Jaxon Show. Don't forget to bring a friend.